This video was brought to you by Greenman Gaming. Check the link below to see some awesome deals on some incredible games. So not too long ago, Resident Evil Requiem came out and it's literally been everywhere. Everyone's playing that game. I think it's the best selling Resident Evil game of all time. You know, a lot of new people are getting into the series. I absolutely loved the game. I have a review of it on my channel that you can go check out after this video. And it's great seeing that a lot more people are getting into the series instead of pretending they're a fan of it on TikTok and commenting a bunch of stupid ass opinions, even though what they say has no merit in anything because they're just larpers. But anyway, if you've just gotten into the Resident Evil series and you're craving more horror games, then I can help you out, and that's why I'm making this video, because I wanted to talk about some great horror games that aren't Resident Evil that you can get into after playing Requiem. And the first one I want to talk about is Condemned: Criminal Origins. Now, Condemned was a game that I originally played without any expectations. I didn't grow up playing it. I played it, I think, a few years ago. So I played it fairly recently. And this game is amazing, man. This is such a good game. But it's not like horror in the sense of a Resident Evil game where you're going around fighting zombies and giant mutated abominations. Instead, you're fighting local crackheads, which I would argue is more scary because it's a bit more grounded. You know, this could hypothetically happen to you, especially if you live in the United Kingdom. And Condemned, it just does this brilliant job of creating this horrific, oppressive atmosphere with every area you go to. I mean, you're exploring crime scenes, you're playing as a detective, you know, you're going around places where people were brutally murdered and there are people lurking about ready to murder you too. But what's great is the fact you can fight back with melee weapons. There's a really nice melee combat in this game and I really enjoy it. And also, because you're a detective, you have like a taser and shit where you can stun enemies and swack them in the face. There are guns laying about that you can pick up, but they're not guns that you can keep around like you can in a Resident Evil game. Instead, they're one use only. Once you run out of ammo, the gun's absolutely useless. And I really like that. You know, it adds a big element of resource management and variety within the levels. And when you find a shotgun, you're just like, right, I gotta use this on a tough enemy. I can't use this on something that I can beat up with a pipe. But you end up using it anyway because you get absolutely terrified because a crackhead jumps out at you. It's just an amazing feeling. It's an amazing game. I haven't played Condemned 2 because it's not on PC and I don't own an Xbox, so I will probably never play it unless they make a PC port. But yeah, definitely check out Condemned. I just realized after saying this that Condemned was delisted on Steam, so maybe, you know, maybe sail the high seas for this one. I still definitely recommend checking it out, even if you have to obviously, you know, do that. The next game I want to talk about is In Sound Mind. Now, this is a game that thankfully isn't delisted and it goes down for a ridiculously low price on Steam during sales, and it's kind of criminal how low it goes for the amount of good content you're getting here. It is a quality survival horror game. Again, I went into this not expecting anything. I thought it looked like a bit of a stiff, janky horror game that had absolutely no substance to it. I didn't care about it, but I felt open-minded one day and decided to give it a shot, and I am so glad I did, because In Sound Mind is a unique horror experience that is definitely worth checking out. I don't want to spoil too much of it, that's how good it is, but basically you're a therapist and you're going into like the psyche of some of your clients who were suffering from some issues, and these areas are relating to them, the issues they're facing. It's kind of like Silent Hill where like stuff manifests around their psyche, and there are some moments that are really scary. The first shopping mall area is absolutely terrifying, and my favorite area is the forest at the end where you go into the army veteran's mind, where he manifests himself as this giant sentry tower with a sniper rifle, and you gotta solve a bunch of radio puzzles because he was a radio guy in the war or some shit. But there's a lot of puzzles, there's a lot of enemies, it's just a really good time all around. Plays very similarly to like the first person Resident Evil games, so definitely check it out. The next game I want to talk about is Chronos: The New Dawn. I have a review of this up on my YouTube channel, but I'm gonna keep talking about it. Actually, no, I have 2 reviews up on this channel about it, but I'm gonna keep talking about Chronos: The New Dawn because more people need to play this game. It is such a good horror game. I genuinely cannot stress that enough. It takes a lot of elements from different horror games, you know, the over-the-shoulder third-person perspective from Resident Evil 4, the weird alien abominations that have unique gimmicks, like Dead Space, where you shouldn't shoot their heads, you need to, where there's a gimmick around them where you need to burn their bodies instead of killing them normally because they can merge with each other and stuff. There's a lot going on here, and it's just a really good time, and I'm never going to stop talking about this game. I also think it is scary. The enemy designs are absolutely horrific. They're called orphans, and there are multiple different versions of them lurking about, and they're all absolutely horrible to encounter. Every single combat section in this game will leave you getting by the skin of your teeth. It is incredibly tense, and that's on normal difficulty. I don't know if that's just a skill issue on my part, but I don't even want to attempt this game on hard because I struggled on normal. The story's a lot of mind fuckery, but it's still pretty interesting if you look into it a bit more. Can be a bit confusing at times, but yeah, I'm gonna keep glazing this game until the world ends. Speaking of glazing, the next game I want to talk about is The Evil Within. Now, I mean, you knew this was coming. Out of every game on here, I recommend The Evil Within the most. It is the most similar to a modern Resident Evil game, and that is because it is directed by Shinji Mikami. You know, the guy who directed the original Resident Evil 4, the guy who basically started the third-person over-the-shoulder shooter genre, the guy who basically set the groundwork for a lot of the modern Resident Evil games, for the better and also for the worst. You know, if we look at like Resident Evil 5 and 6, but we wouldn't be where we are with the series if it wasn't for this guy. And The Evil Within, it is so good. It is such an underappreciated horror game that has a bunch of unique mechanics that Resident Evil has started to steal. I can't lie. Like bottle throwing, for example. The Evil Within, you know, you threw bottles to distract enemies, you can throw it at the enemy's face and get a frontal stealth kill on them. They introduced that in Resident Evil Requiem. Speaking of Requiem, there's a lot of scenes in Requiem that are basically almost one-to-one recreations of scenes from The Evil Within, and a lot of other people have noticed too. It seems like a lot more people are coming around to The Evil Within, and that is great to see because, well, it's The Evil Within. It is literally so good, and yeah, I don't even know what else to say. There's so many The Evil Within stuff on this channel and my main channel, so if you really want to know my opinion on it, you go check out them. The last game I want to talk about is Lost in Vivo. Now, this is a game that came out of nowhere. I think I played it years ago after I saw like a Pyrocynical video on it called like The Silent Hill You Haven't Played or some shit, and it interested me, and I'm glad I checked it out because it's a very simple horror game. You know, the premise is you lost your dog in a sewer. That's literally your goal. You're just looking for your dog, which, you know, you don't need any more than that. Dogs are man's best friends for a reason. And within that sewer, shit just starts getting more and more fucked up and weird. Like, it becomes kind of Lovecraftian with how weird it is, and you just cannot describe the horrific shit you see down there. Like, there's one point where a train becomes all fleshy and develops a mouth and tries eating you. That happens. I don't know why that happens, but it's cool. It's a very memorable moment. The enemies are just absolute freaks of nature, with their horror being enhanced by the low poly graphics because you just can't make out what they are, making your mind fill in the blanks. You know, it's that fear of the unknown shit. And Lost in Vivo is the king of fear of the unknown because I have no idea what is going on in this game. I've 100%ed it though. I went back and played it 3 times. It's pretty short, but it is really good. Definitely check this one out. It's another one that goes down to really cheap because it is just a small little indie game made by one person, yet it's left such a big impact on me. But yeah, there are some cool Resident Evil-esque horror games that you should check out. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. Just go check them out. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and again, I would just really like to thank Green Man Gaming. They are an incredible third-party storefront on PC. If you're looking for cheap Steam games, this is the place to go. The amount of frequent sales that happen on Green Man Gaming is kind of insane, and it rivals Steam. In fact, you actually get better discounts on Green Man Gaming than Steam. They try and keep up with Steam discounts, like what games are going down to, but they add on a few extra percentages to those discounts. And that also includes games that aren't even out yet. So you can get discounts on games that haven't even been released. Pretty good. It's pretty good. I highly recommend Green Man Gaming. You can click the link below if you want to check out their storefront. A few of the games I talked about here, they are probably on there if you want to check them out for yourself. And that also includes The Evil Within. That game goes on sale quite a lot on there, so yeah. Anyway, I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters. A huge thank you to Nintendo Pro, Profit, Pitstab, Bouncer Storm Productions, and Daniel Levchenko. And a huge thank you to my channel members. that being Courtney Williams DR9TB, Zello007, On The Go Gaming 109, Bat DX, Rattlejake Snake, Eteria Sigma, Cheezer 9530, Rec 12748, Quack29, Randomness 7550, oh my god, Plates Fly 8362, Liam Talks About, Chowder 1326, Ollie Cuz 1, Mashallah 4566, Marcus Platts, Joshua Whitford 5509, Evan Underhill 2342, Bidoo for Doom, Gabriel Padro 5589, Scary 1407, Eggy 613, Wentel, Riff King 66, Dizrays 3250, Sobitax, Andreas Stewart 8871, Galaxy 11243, Glusky 36, Floaty 38, Wolfborn TV, Rust on Wood, L Hayes 117, also known as some balding guy rambling into the void, Griefgar, and Resistance Lion. There are so many of you now. Holy shit! I'm overwhelmed, honestly. I am overwhelmed by how many of you are willing to spend a little bit extra just to see content earlier and have a little green gel icon next to your usernames when you comment on this stuff. It means a lot to me, honestly. It really does. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and I will see you all in the next video.